welcome to another great episode of Framing New Heights. My name is Michael Hicks, your host with the most. Before I introduce this wonderful guest that I have next, like over here, some words from our sponsors. Can't sleep, got the aches and pains. You've got to check out this new product. Actually, it's not a new product because it's been on my podcast for the existence of it, but it's a CBD oil and it's Amish tested. It's proven formula. If you've got the aches and pains, you literally cannot sleep. Sleep is so important. I swear by this product. It's Amish tested. The guy that sells it, I know him personally. He's a great human, and it's CBD oil. What you do is you take 9 to 10 drops, put it underneath your tongue before you go to bed at night, and you feel refreshed and you got a good night's sleep. So if you want to check out a promo code at any time and you want to take advantage of this, if you are a Framing New Heights listener, you can just go to superfungummies.com. That's superfungummies.com, and you can click on the any different sizes. They have variation of sizes, so you can check out the size that you want, and you get 50% off. You're not going to see that deal anywhere else. All you got to do is when it asks for a promo code, you put in New Heights, and it's all cap locks, New Heights, and you get 50% off at checkout. Great product, highly suggested. Take advantage of it because I tell you, our sleep is almost more important than anything else. And what's really important, here's what I've learned recently. If you're not sleeping for more than 18 hours, y'all, you're technically proven legally drunk. Like that's crazy. So we all need sleep. We all need to be better. We need to make sure our cup's full before we can help anybody else. With that being said, as many of you know, I'm the founder of my agency called Live to Thrive. What I do is I help people like yourself become the best version. I've helped professional athletes, CEOs, lawyers, doctors, freedom fighters. Or firefighters, I should say. I've worked with responders, moms and dads, people like you that are truly stuck in life, whether that's in your career, whether that's in your mindset, with your relationships. Maybe you just got out of a bad divorce, whatever it might be. I've got the proven formula to help you. And I'll be honest though, I don't have any room until October, but you can still DM me. You can go to all my socials. You have information on that, or you can go to www.livetothrive.com. That's LIV, the number two, thrive.com. You can at least apply to get on my waiting list. And then what I can do is once I get your information, I'll send you out a questionnaire, see if we're a good fit, and then I'll get you on my schedule. Because I'm telling you, y'all, we don't need to go through life in turbulence. Too many of us just waste our life in turbulence and not really taking time to spell the roses. So, without further ado, today I have a wonderful conversation to have. In fact, my guest today is someone who embodies this perfectly. It embodies the Framing New Heights vision, the Framing New Heights podcast vision, the Live to Thrive envision. With over 13 years of experience, Marlyne Paris is a registered dietitian nutritionist and a certified personal trainer. And to be honest with you, she's more than that, y'all, because I'm excited to explore her story today. She's worked across chronic conditions in sports and nutrition and body composition. However, what sets her apart is not just her expertise, and we're going to talk about it today only on Framing New Heights podcast. It's her story. Marlyne has endured battles literally in court, and we're probably going to, if she lets me, we're going to get into that today. It's really tested her faith, which I see that tremendously about her. That's why another reason why she's on my podcast. It also tested her endurance and her identity as a mother of three. And wait till you hear her story. And you've got to wait and hear it because it is awe-inspiring. Yet through it all, her trust in Jesus Christ, which I love, not only survived it, she thrived it. And today she's a living testimony of God's faithfulness. Please welcome to the show the one and only Marlyne Paris. Marlyne, how are you?
Good. How are you today?
Awesome, awesome. It's so good to have you here and sharing your testimony and your journey because I'll get everybody kind of up to speed. I was out one night in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where you're not from, and I stumbled onto you and your friend, and we hit it off and full circle. I don't even maybe 6 months, 7 months later, here we are having a conversation. Can you tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what your story is about?
Yeah. So historically, with the military life, I've kind of lived all over in the last 2 decades, I would say. Um, and, certainly have a lot of, or I guess I would say a plethora of experience in terms of what I do as a dietitian, which I found impactful for what I'm doing currently, which is, running my private practice. But I did start out as wanting to be a lawyer, and then I went to Korea, taught English at 22. It was such a
Wow.
rash decision and changed the course of my life for sure. And I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade what I do. I don't know that I would be such a good lawyer, but I know that I'm a good coach. And so um, so that's kind of where I'm at now. Right now, I'm in Arizona, and you're right, we did run into each other. That was awesome. And I think I reached out to you too because were posting things about health and wellness or whatever. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's part
Mhm.
of my programming. So live to thrive in bodies, mind, body, and soul. So our body and our minds have to be interconnected to really reach our full potential. And that's a little bit about, yeah. And that's
Sure.
the piece that you have an experience on. And I'm super excited about this. I've kind of witnessed, and I'm going to go in right away. I've kind of witnessed, I'm already off script, by the way. I've already, I witnessed some of your journey in our short conversation when I met you. You are going through something pretty hard. You're going through a custody situation where your kids are in one state, you are in the other. You get to see them very little. Can you maybe walk us through the process, kind of what happened, where you're at, and really reflect and show the vulnerability to our listeners, like your journey as a mom? Can you go ahead and share that with us?
Absolutely. And I can share as much or as little as you want, but I'll keep it brief. I'm always someone who kind of thinks outside the box and is adventurous. I guess spontaneous is what you can call me. And that's why I went to Korea really, really fast, right after I applied for law school. Um, but that sense of adventure kind of, brought me some hardships for sure. And one of them being that, I met my ex-husband. Well, he's now my ex-husband, but I met him in Korea. He was stationed over there, and it was a turbulent relationship. We made it about 10 years almost. I couldn't do it anymore. It was just a very toxic situation. A lot of women in my position, they end up staying stuck in a certain cycle, which I won't really go into. But that's where I was at. And, we believed in God, but we certainly didn't go to church. I mean, maybe like Christmas. And my kids didn't really have like any kind of connection with God, and they were small at the time. It was towards the end, we were stationed in Hawaii, and it was towards the end of the marriage when I decided that enough was enough. And um, I was crying on my bathroom floor, and just I didn't know if I believed in God or not. But anyways, I just said, this just makes me feel like dirt. And very clearly I heard, I created the dirt, and I created you from the dirt. And I love all of my creation, and I love you. And it was the most profound thing that's ever happened to me at that point. And so if I could tell you, my tears stopped. Oops, sorry, they stopped really fast, and I'm like, wow, there really is something out there. 2 days later, Matt, like miraculously, I still can't tell you how. I was planning on moving back to Maine to be back with my family and just start over with my children. But instead of searching for plane tickets, I end up searching for non-denominational churches, which at the time I didn't even know what that was because we were Catholic.
For
And
sure.
so 2 days later, I'm walking in a church, and it changed it. I would say it changed my life. Obviously, there are some things that happened after the fact that weren't perfect, and that's actually where my youngest daughter comes from. But it set me on the right path. And so yeah, and then we got the divorce. I ended up meeting another person also in the military, and just we it my daughter came from it, and it was not something planned, if you will. And that relationship was not really a good relationship either, and it was very short lived. And so when I found out that I was going to have my daughter, it was a hard period because I'm realizing I'm trying to get myself out of a bad situation, and then I put myself into another situation. So I took full ownership of it. To be honest with you, I didn't know that I wanted my child to be born into that situation, and I didn't think that it was going to be fair for my two older children either. And so one day I was like, you know what? This goes beyond my belief, but I think I'm just going to go and terminate the pregnancy. And I didn't really have much support from my family at the time, to be honest with you. I just didn't. And so I'm like, well, if I don't have the support, I can't do this on my own. And then very clearly, God spoke to me again and said, "You're not doing that." So I end up, obviously having her, and she is just the most magical thing that's ever happened to me outside of my other children. I knew, I fully knew that it was going to be a hardship. Having a child with this other person that I ended up really not knowing as well as I thought that I did. And but God told me that, you know what, it's going to be hard, but I'm going to be with you no matter what.
Yeah, yeah.
And this 6 years has been hard. Every step of the way, it's been hard, but He has been faithful. So,
Wow. Well, that's super impactful. I got so much. So couple things here. What do you think was the root cause? Because hey, I always say this to my clients. I wish I was the person I was. I wish I had me right now when I was 20 years ago, because I was the dude that failed miserably in relationships, was egotistical, was chauvinistic, were all these things, thought my you know what didn't stink, thought about all of this. And I realized as I interflect, audit, self audit myself, was, gosh, I got to do something. Otherwise, my relationships are going to continue in this turmoil. And for me, as I hit my microphone, well, for me, I hired my life coach and I hired a therapist. And were the best two things that I've ever did in my life. Because therapy, what it does, it works on your past. Life coaching builds you up, which I do now, builds you up
mhm,
from now until to tomorrow, or the next day, from the future, from where you're at. So it builds you up from where you're at.
yes.
I say all that because when I had those two together, they told me one thing. And I want to talk too about God speaking to you, because He talks to me all the time. By the way, I just want to tell you that
Oh,
is, and I'm excited to kind of go in a little bit of that. But I want to say this is, I worked on myself, Marlene, for a full year before, because I was that kept popping in my head is, well, relationships, it's just as much as my fault as it's anybody else. I'll probably take more of the blame, because as a man, quality men, I'll tell you this, Marlene, quality men, if they don't know how to lead, the relationship's going to suck. So I took a lot of that. I took on a lot of that. Cheater, you know, I never physically abused. I never did any of that. But I definitely did the stuff that I shouldn't have did. It's because I wasn't aligned with who I truly was. I wasn't listening to God. Like, we have three voices in our life, right? We have our internal voice. We have the voices of others, and when we listen to the voices of others, that usually silences our own voice, which then leads us to go in other directions that we don't want to go. And then, what's importantly, which you allude to, which I want to get into, is, which I'm going to get into, but I have a follow up question to all this, is God's voice, right? Was there ever like a turning point for you where you're like, gosh, yeah, this happened because of this happened because of this? However, like, I know for me, I haven't been married now for like almost 10 years. I got my beautiful daughter out of it. She's the best blessing I've ever gotten from God. You ever reflect and look back and be like, yeah, I could have did this better, I could have did that better? Or can you maybe walk us through that journey on why, because you were married two times, so talk us through that. Does that make sense?
yeah, it does. And I think that there's a fine line between reflecting on the things that should have been different and, really kind of changing things within you. Because, after my divorce, meeting this other person was kind of quick, and then getting pregnant with Kaya was quick. And I didn't take that time to heal. I didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then that kind of pushed me back to, well, maybe I wasn't close to God during my marriage, my 10-year marriage. And maybe that's why it didn't work out. And so, it was like the regret and like the reflection on of that. But that still wasn't something that helped me to heal whatever was within me. It was more of a reflection of, oh shoot, I did this wrong, and I wish I could course correct. And um and so that's where I was at for a very, very long time. Just really kind of in maybe almost kind of a depression,
For
just
sure.
feeling so badly, yeah, about, well, the marriage wasn't all him. There are things that certainly, I also yelled, so it's not like it was 100% him. It does take two people for sure to create that kind of a fire. But um what I think when I really started to change was when I got to Arizona. Like you said, that real true self-reflection of things that I need to change. And you know what started it? A prayer. Lord, reveal to, and this is the most dangerous prayer to pray, and you really have to have thick skin when you pray it. Lord, please tell me what's within me. Reveal in my heart, reveal in me what I'm not seeing or what I need to change. Oh, he will. Like,
You know what's interesting is it's interesting that you say that because my pastor said this, and I can't take ownership on this. I'd like to, but it's very similar to what you said. He's like, if you're gonna ask, be careful, because it may not be something that you want to hear, and you may have to change your entire life to change that. That is such a beautiful thing, Marlene, and wow, that's so impactful. Everybody goes through seasons, right? And everybody has this, I like to call it season. We have like high seasons, we've got low seasons, but we have seasons. You talked about a moment where your faith was, so were you brought up Catholic most of your life?
no, I wasn't brought up knowing the Lord. I wasn't.
So just out of the blue, you just heard God say that, excuse me, you just heard God say this to you the first time. Talk to us about that.
Yeah. So my mother, she she was a pretty broken woman. She was a single mom, and we had a very broken kind of childhood. And she would have us in different churches because she would meet new friends all the time. So one time, one weekend we'd be Pentecostal, another weekend we'd be Jehovah's Witness. We didn't know Jesus. And I think he's been chasing me for a very long time, and I still don't understand why me yet. Because when I was 12, I remember listening to a song. I was grounded for the 15th time for doing nothing. I was trying, like, I don't even know what I was doing, but it was just something really insignificant. I was grounded yet again. And so is in my room and listening to a song. And I heard, "This isn't forever," very, very clearly. This isn't forever. And something told me it was kind of a higher power, but again, I didn't know Jesus. And then about a month later, and I still cannot tell you how this happened, I am walking by myself 1 mile to a church, to a little church across the bridge from my house. I would wake up, sneak out on Sunday because I knew my mother was going to be probably sleeping because she would just drink and do drugs, and so she'd be sleeping. And so I went to this church, and I started going to this church every Sunday for months until my mom found out, and then she cut me off from that. But it's little things like that throughout my life. Even in Korea, same situation. I had him come to me for it, I can't remember what it was for, but I just remember him saying, "Look, I'm here, I'm going to pick you up, and I'm going to be here for you always." And then and then the bathroom incident happened again. So the reason why I was Catholic is because my ex-husband was Catholic, and in
Mm.
order to get married in the church I had to be Catholic. So
You
yeah.
know, wow, that's so powerful. I get so much out of that because I can relate completely. I'll just tell you during a season where, and for my listeners, I'm in the process of writing a book, and I'm on chapter 2. I don't want to get too many details of it. So, but I want to say this: is this part of it. This is part of what's going to be in the book. But there's a moment, Marlene, during my one of my seasons where I'm getting vulnerable, and I teach men how to be vulnerable because I think that's really really important. Because I mean, I think men need to be interrelated and focused onto their emotions, but not acting out of emotions. I hope that makes sense to our listeners
Mhm.
and you. But I remember this particular very well. Something happened that was really, really evil, really wrong. And I don't want to go into details. I'll go into details on the book. And I just started wailing, crying to the point of, and you're going to probably agree with me on this, is crying so hard that you cannot control your body, that you're on the ground. For you as the kitchen, right? So you're literally on the ground just sobbing, and your hands are all out, and you're just like crying out to God, right? Crying out to God. And it's hard. It's a hard cry. Like it's one of those you can't even understand yourself.
Yeah.
And I distinctively remember this, and this will maybe give you goosebumps to my listeners, or even you, Marlene, as I remember to praying out to God, and I just said, God, I just need a hug. And mind you, I was when you get to that point, your body just falls. Like you cannot control anything. You're just at this position. And within a second, I asked God, I said, I need a hug. I just need a hug. I stopped crying like I'm having a conversation with you right now. Instantaneously. Like no doubt. Like stopped immediately.
Wow.
And I'll tell you this. I want to share this other story. Speaking of which, that's why I said God talk. I get goosebumps talking about it because I literally, Marlene, one of my biggest things when I wake up in the morning, the first things I do before I put my feet on the side of the bed, I say to God, I say, allow me to be holy like Jesus, so that I can walk in His footsteps today. That's my goal every single day. Every single day. I think all of our listeners out there should live in alignment of that every single day. Like my daughter and I, we were at Culver's. She just made the select volleyball team, and we went to stop at Culver's. That's her favorite restaurant. I don't always eat. I don't eat the bad stuff. Just letting you all know, I'll have a little bit, but not much. But 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 I remember this lady coming up, and she was just I was just taken back by her, just by how pleasant she was, how kind she was, how caring she was. And my daughter always gets the ice cream with the free scoop. You get the free scoop of ice cream, and then she gets her Oreos on top. And I know Oreos are bad. I know all that, but we do it in moderation. But when we go anyway, so she didn't bring the ice cream. So I said to her, I said, "Oh, can you get our ice cream?" And she's like, "Oh, yeah, I was gonna bring it to you later." Like she was waiting on us, and I was like, wow. I said, I just paused at that moment. I just said, it's so kind, and thank you so much. So, no kidding. We finish up our full food. She brings it back. So then we're finishing everything up, and we're about to leave, and I'm putting everything away. And I got my daughter with me, and I'm like, God's telling me at that moment, I gotta bless this woman because I feel it talks about this so much in the Bible. If you're blessed, you want to bless other people. So
Mm-hmm.
I blessed her financially. So
Oh wow.
I I was looking for I couldn't find her. My daughter's like, Dad, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? I'm like, I'm looking. I go, I need to find someone. I need to find. So I finally found her. I go, where's our person that waited on us? And she's like, Dad, she's over here. So she's walking outside, and I'm not gonna say how much I gave her, but I handed her this amount of money. It was one bill. I'll just say that. And I said, God's blessed me, so I'm going to bless you. She just lit up, and that goes back to what I talked about is, you know, I know we do. And here's the other thing, Marlene. I want to say this to you really, really directly. Leaders, leaders like you are going to have a harder time than anybody else.
Mm.
Your story, your journey is making you a better person, a better leader because he believes you can handle it. No good leader, no good person in any type of position is going to have your kind of story. So there's one more story that I wanted to say. A colleague of mine, another. This is we're talking about the I'm totally off script, by the way. This is great. That's why I love to keep it organic. And I this was last year, last late early spring. One of my colleagues passed away.
Mm.
My age, a doctor, um, in shape. In fact, he was on my podcast, and it really hit me. It really hit me hard. So I drive 2 hours to go to the funeral. I didn't know anybody. I just knew him, and I drove 2 hours, and I get there, and I see everybody, and I'm watching, and I'm looking, and I just asked God. I said, "Can you just let me know that He's with you in heaven?" That's all I asked. That's all I
Mm.
asked.
Yeah.
Marlene, this is going to give you another wow moment. Later that day, I don't know if you remember the movie Friday. Do you remember the movie Friday?
I'm not sure
Okay,
which
okay,
movie now.
okay. So it's called Friday, and there's this movie. I think the owner that runs the 3-on-3 league, Big Three, was in it. I forgot the guy's name. There's some big actors in it, but there was this character called Debo. Okay,
Okay.
uh, Debo was this guy that rode this bicycle, and he would go around harassing people, stealing stuff. He just was whatever. So I had a conversation that day with somebody about Debo and riding his bicycle. Wait till you hear this story. I don't think I shared this with anybody. And so I get to the funeral, and then now it's getting towards the end of the I hate saying we should say celebration of life, not funeral. So there's a pile of T-shirts that he that they're giving away for my buddy, and one of his sisters, I think it was, holds up the shirt. Guess what shirt it was?
Hmm.
It was Debo from Friday.
Wow.
You telling me, for
Mm.
anybody that's a non-believer, that God doesn't exist, do you think that just happened by chance?
If
You
that
just
wasn't confirmation,
So
wow.
I knew right then and there he was in heaven. Like,
Yeah.
I remember talking to someone on the phone on the way home, and I was in tears because it's just amazing how, if you have faith, though, I just got to tell you this, those listeners out there, you have to have faith. But Marlene, you're interesting. I'm going to ask you some more questions about this because you really didn't even know about Jesus. You didn't even know about your faith journey, and all of a sudden now he's like talking to you. He's like giving you this stuff, and he's giving you all this. Anything to add on that before we transition?
Yeah, yeah. So what so since Hawaii, and this was 2017 that I walked into that church. So that kind of started my faith journey. But that was this was years, and then, I could say, "Oh, I'm godly. Oh, I'm godly." But was I really godly? Did I really know God? And there's such a difference. There really, really is. And um then here I got involved with a church here in Arizona that taught me a little bit more. But then I got some church hurt, and then I realized that, there's a difference between religion and relationship. And and it was just me by myself here when my daughter got picked up, when I got the order. So my 6-year-old, we went to court for custody because he was going to be stationed in California. And my lawyer, I wouldn't say that he was lazy. I would just say he was confident. I think a little of both, because he was like, according to Arizona state law, you really have to, the burden of proof is on the moving party. And so they didn't really have anything to, prove that she should move out of the state that she was born in and be away from her siblings and me. But yet the judge, which we don't know if there's some behind the scenes stuff going on here. I'll just say that, and I'll just be frank about it because I went through it. But my ex seemed to know what the outcome of the order was a week before we even knew, if that tells you anything. And so they let her go. He even wrote in the order, that she has a stable home, but yeah, she can still go. There was no justification.
How old was she at the time?
She was 5. And
Wow.
so 2 months later, actually, yeah, it was about 2 months, I had to turn her over. And let me tell you, that if I thought my life was over with every other thing that I've gone through in my life, from my childhood to my toxic marriage to dealing with the dad of Kaya to this point, this was the point that broke me. And, I sat here and I said, you know what, God, I feel like I am a good person, and I feel like I'm doing things right. I don't understand why this is being done to me. I don't understand why anything in my life has been being done to me. Like, why are you allowing this to happen? And then I prayed, "Well, I hope for some divine intervention, like he doesn't come pick her up." Of course he comes to pick her up. So at this point I'm here by myself. And this is the crazy part, because I was sitting and I was journaling and I was praying, and I had a vision, a very clear vision of like a kind of a devil, if you will. It was like a big bird, like phoenix type, like demonic bird with claws, and he was taking all three of my children away from me. And then all of a sudden, this figure comes from like on a cloud right behind the devil, as if to say, I'm going to allow this to happen for a
Oh,
minute, but this isn't going to be the end of the story. And then I went to Bible study that night, and one of the ladies came up to me and she said, Marlene, I don't know. I was just praying today and I had this vision that there was like a cord, like a devil or something coming to get your kids and taking them away from you. But God told me that this is only for a season, and he wants you to lock in with just him. And he said, all right, Marlene, it's just me and you. Your children are not your children. They're my children. I gave them to you. You're blessed to have them. I told you they're my gift, but they're not yours. They're mine. So what I need you to do now is develop your relationship with me. So since this was August of 2024 that she was taken, and it's been a full year, and that's exactly what I've been doing. And this is the moment, this is the time where I truly do feel like I can say that I'm godly. So, and it's because of that. And so, you kind of think, well, why do these things happen? It's for his glory. That's why. He needed to change me. He needed to fix me. He needed to take the things away from me that were not good for me. And I do believe he has a purpose for me. I don't know what it is quite yet, but I'm just locking into what he has for me now. And and until he reveals it to me, I can tell you I am blessed. I don't have my daughter yet. We're still waiting on the appeal. We did go to the appeals court. It was, another $50,000, but I can tell you that that full bill is fully paid, and no one helped me. It was me doing it. And what I say, no one helped me, but no one on earth. God provided for
God,
through my private practice.
yeah,
So,
God. You know what's so funny that you even wow.
mhm,
See, Marlene, I thank you so much for you sharing the story because I know someone out there is going through something so similar and
mhm,
such a ugly season. You know, it's so interesting to me is, with all these things, we can call them evil, wrong, whatever it might be. It could be so easy for you to be like, I'm done. Like I don't want to exist anymore. But yet I heard you say it's for his glory. And that's like that is full man, that takes depth, Marlene. That takes work. I mean, I cannot imagine if my daughter was taken away from me. I oh my gosh. So can you get everybody kind of caught up? So you have three kiddos,
yes.
and tell us. You don't have to give the name if you don't want to. You kind of already did, but you can say, okay, where are they at? How's the placement going? Can you talk us through a little bit of that?
Yeah, right now my daughter Kaya, she's with her dad in California. I do get random bouts of visitation throughout the year. So I'll either fly her or not fly her, but she'll come here, I'll go there. My other children, that's another custody situation that I've been dealing with. which I won't go too much into for time, but my son had been living with his dad in Hawaii. So real quick, in 2021, his dad was moving to Hawaii for his duty station, and he asked if he could have Tano go with him because he only anticipated being there for a year because he was going to get picked up to command a battalion in Georgia. And so I had never been away from my kids that long. But Tano is half Islander, and I knew that he would really love and enjoy going back to Hawaii. So I said yes for the year. And then his dad decided to not go to Georgia, turn down the command position, and retire in Hawaii. And so, of course, Tano stays. And so Tano, it went from him being there 1 year for just 1 year to all the way up until now. And I never in a million years thought that he would ever want to come back here because this is not Hawaii. This is Southern Arizona. He has his friends there. He's a star athlete. He's a scholar. He's a robotics scholar, and he's got all this stuff going for him. And I was truly happy. But you know what? I prayed still. I had all of their pictures lined up, all of my children, and I would pray over them every single day. Lord, this is the year of divine reversals. This is the year of a reversal and getting my children back and rescuing them from the devil's talons. And if it's your will, God, bring my children back. So Tano came for summer break, as he usually does. And a few weeks before he was supposed to go back to Hawaii, I'm not kidding you, he looked at me and he said, "Mom, I think it's time to come home." Like it was just like, "Wait, what?" He's like, "Yep, I want to start high school in Arizona. I want to live with you now. It's time to come home." And I can't that's another God miracle. Let me just tell you that he's starting over here. He has everything he has there, but no, and he's here with me now. So my son is here. um I'm just waiting on the appeals for my daughter. In Jesus name, she's going to come back. And then my 12-year-old daughter, my last daughter, she actually wanted to stay as well, but she only told me this like a couple weeks before she was supposed to go back, and I really just could not handle the fight with her dad, so I did send her back. So I'm hoping by the end of the year, maybe next year, that all three of my babies will be back with me. So
Wow, that is like literally many of the things that I admire about you. Not only that, I think your professional life really has deeply shaped, your personal story. That's the reason why I brought you on our podcast, just getting to see how you post and your story and everything. And you've been through so many battles that like most people cannot even imagine. Like the, a mother, like honestly, I think dads are like, yeah, it's dads, but honestly, I, even being a dad, I'm just going to be fully transparent. Our kids need moms. They need dads as well. But if we are going to put things in hierarchy perspective, I'm going to be honest. I mean, I grew up in a dadless household. If I didn't have, I was just talking to my therapist about this. If I didn't have, you know, godly, strong role model men that were my coaches and my teachers in my life, I don't think I'd be where I'm at. I mean, men do have that perspective, but moms, man, moms are like the glue to it. And what's even so amazing about all this, Marlene, is you emerge even stronger with the deeper faith. And we've walked through some custody battles, appeals courts, and moments where you hope to seem everything out of reach. How, let me ask you this question here. How did you hold on to God during those seasons? Tell the listeners.
um because every time I said I'm giving up, this is it. If I can be really real, there were times where I, would think, how many pills do I have in this cabinet that I could take all of them? Or what would be the quickest way to die? That, how much more can someone take in a life that I didn't even ask for in the first place? And every single time I said those things, he stopped my tears. He made me, maybe take a little nap, or someone would call me. I'm not joking you. Someone would show up at my house like and just be like,
Wow.
"Oh, hey, I was in the neighborhood or whatever." And every time. And so it's like, man, you are faithful. Like, you know, we shouldn't test God. We should not test his promises because they are true. But in the times where you do feel like it's not true, he's going to show up for you. And it's like, there's no way that I can do this life without him. And I can tell you that I am still going through this stuff, obviously. I might have more legal fees come up. I own a private practice, but clients come and go, and it's, owning a business, it's not always a stable thing. But I can wake up every day knowing that no matter what happens, God is there and I 100% know it. I mean, how am I sitting here not only debt free with no legal bills, and with an overflow? I don't get child support. I support myself. So if I'm blessed with amazing friends, and it goes on and on and on. But you really have to 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 have faith. And here's the thing, like there's a difference between having faith and actually having faith. Like it really is the faith and the unknown. Waking up every day like God's got it. However, he doesn't just have it if you're complacent, because like any relationship, it's a two-way street. And so you have to be in prayer and you have to be listening to that still small voice. And I'll be honest with you, I don't do it all the time. I'm not perfect. I'm not a perfect, godly, perfect woman, I, I'm not Ruth in the Bible. I still make mistakes, but he's leading me. And I think when you lock in, you're going to get out of that 40-year wilderness a lot quicker than if you were to just go here, go there, go here, go there, and trust him sometimes. And then when it's not convenient, don't. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned earlier, um, like Christianesque, right?
mhm,
Like people are Christianesque. Like, oh, they go to church. Like, just because you go to church on Sundays and you haven't opened up the Bible the rest of the week or spend time in His holy Word,
yeah.
you're Christianesque. You're not a Christian. And you talked to something too that I that's coming back to me. You talked about he doesn't want a religion. And I want all of our listeners to know God doesn't want, he talks about this even biblically. He doesn't want a religion. It doesn't, you don't have to be Christian, you don't have to be Catholic, you don't have to be Jewish, fill in whatever denomination, whatever. He wants what you said earlier, which is that relationship piece.
Hmm.
I think that's critical. So, was your lowest point when you were on that kitchen floor? Was that the lowest point for you?
Um,
Or was there even a lower point?
when I got the call from my lawyer that I lost the case, that in my lifetime was my lowest point.
So, was there a scripture or a promise that carried you through this? What was that? Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, it was trust in the Lord and lean not on, your own understanding. And I'm gonna butcher this one, but you just have to trust him. Like that just kept playing in my mind as I'm crying, thinking about how many pills are there, you know? And that's just being real. And it's funny because also when I got the call that the devil had won for at least a moment
Yeah,
for the custody,
yeah,
a random scripture popped into my head, and I'm not super well versed with. I couldn't just tell you, okay, well, Psalms 83 says
for
this or
sure.
something like that.
Yeah.
But a random scripture popped in my head. I'm like, huh, what is that? Go to the Bible. It was Psalms 142, 141 or 142, and it perfectly said, "They will be ensnared by the own traps." And I was
Hey,
like,
repeat,
wow.
repeat, repeat, repeat that again because there's a little bit of loop. Take two. Say that again.
Yeah, the scripture that popped into my head that I had not recalled reading in the first place said, it was Psalms 141, I believe, 141 or 142. So I opened the Bible. I'm like, all right, what's this? and it said to, it said something like, they will be ensnared in the traps that they lay. And I'm like, wow, because they laid some traps, like during that whole, day and a half in court, when they were like saying all of these things about me that weren't true, and they didn't have anything to back it up. They were just saying, completely slandering me in the court. And the judge was sitting there. I remember just sitting there glaring at me, just literally like smirking, glaring at me the whole time. Just it was the most demonic thing. And then my pastor came to give a character witness testimony, because they asked for that for both sides. And he told me at church, he was like, I'm sorry, but that was demonic. The whole situation was demonic, because his lawyer was, saying all this stuff about me, yelling at me, and the judge was glaring at me, and I was like, Lord, like, what is this? And I really felt like such an attack. But he did tell me after the fact that, okay, they're going to do this for a little while, but they're going to be caught up. The evil is going to be reflected back. And so here in this county, I know some people who know some people. And, as soon as I win the appeal, we there's things that should be happening under the table, things that shouldn't be happening. And I'll just say that, because it happened to me. I'm not scared to say it. And so it's my hope that it can help other women here who have dealt with the same thing. And after this happened to me, I was very vocal about it on social media. And a few of those women actually reached out to me, and they said the same thing happened to them, but they didn't have money to fight. They weren't able to go to the appeals court to fight. So they have literally lost their children for nothing. And so it's, yeah.
You know what's so interesting is there's a Bible passage that, because God's all about, I just want to be honest, like fully transparent. I'm on a journey, and a lot of our listeners know this. So I've taken a journey roughly around a little. I made a New Year's resolution, and I actually stuck with it. Like 90% of people don't. That's a whole new different topic. We didn't even talk about you and your nutrition and your person. I might have to invite you on another, but your story here is so more powerful, I think. But I want to say this: there's a Bible passage when I was going through a season myself that the pastor talked about, and I'll probably butcher it. I'm very similar to you, but I'm on like a 283 of 365 days of the Bible, this Bible app that I'm on, and I highly suggest anybody to do this and go through this journey. But here's what I was going to say. It says this about just. God wants just, and the day will come where the justice will prevail, and that your scenario will be as bright as the midday sun. And,
Mm,
and it is one of the most powerful. I'll find that Bible passage and I'll send that to you privately. But because I have it in my notes, and I was like, He's a just God,
yeah.
and like the world, Marlene, is based off of lies. Let's be
Mhm,
honest. There is slavery, lies, right? Slavery, blatantly lies. Jesus dying on the cross for our sins. They picked a criminal over Jesus Christ. Our society, our world that we live on was built on lies and demonic power. And
mhm,
what's interesting is in the Bible app, I listen to the audio person, and he talks often about, and I was like, I kept saying to myself, I'm like, oh, I haven't really witnessed this. I haven't really witnessed this. And I just witnessed this now in our podcast is you have people in lawful positions that are demonic and that are paid underneath the table,
mhm,
whatever it might be,
mhm.
that are evil. But I want to tell you something. If they're just, if their day doesn't come on this planet, I promise when that time comes, when we are in front of our creator, you're going to be welcomed in and say, welcome in, child of God. And then you're going to have, and I firmly, and I believe this, I've had visualizations on this through my seasons of turbulence, is the people that have attacked. I've looked back, I've seen them in like chains and like fiery brim, like hating life, and like the look that they gave me was like of pure like I messed up.
Mm,
So just to kind of, and we're getting to the top of the hour here, is just to kind of bring things back into focus is God is a just God. He's a kind God. He's
mhm,
a graceful God. And I
mhm,
really like what you said earlier. It is a two-way street though. You have to literally say, I'm your temple. I release control.
mm,
That was a hard thing for me, Marlene. Hard thing for me. But it's helped me now be a better coach for my clients because I've been
mm.
able to do that. Is just really, I'm here. I'm your temple. How do you want me to be your disciple? How do you want me to carry your word? Um, you kind of touched on this, but I want to ask you this: is there any encouragement that you would give to anyone that's listening to this podcast? We're streaming up to now on 6 continents. It's building pretty heavy or pretty big. I don't want to say heavy. What would you say to someone that maybe, or some encouragement to someone that has gone through some dark moments in their life, maybe prejudiced by a system of injustice and turbulence and darkness, and maybe kids being taken away, or maybe even something else, fill in the blank. What would you say to them? Go.
Oh, I would say open Ephesians and read Ephesians from the first chapter to the last chapter, because this is not anything that we go through here on earth. You said perfectly. This is a spiritual warfare that's happening over us, and not something that I ever understood, until this year of God revealing it to me. Everything that's happening, if you see what's happening with Israel, if you see what's happening with America, it's just, it goes on, but it's the same spirits. It's the dichotomy between good and evil, and that obviously is going to be prevalent in each and every one of our lives, because you have these spirits always watching you, and they're always trying to find your pain points and your weak points, and they're going to prey on the weak. And so what you have to do is put on your full armor of God every single day. One
Yep.
of my good friends told me to do that. Wake up and literally say it and visualize putting the helmet of salvation, the sword of the spirit, the shield of faith, the breastplate of righteousness, the belt of truth, the feet ready to share your testimony, kind of like what you're allowing me to do today. And there's nothing that, maybe we're going through these hard things, but like
Yep.
Job went through the hardest of the hard. And just know that if you remain faithful and know that
And
God has
just.
got you,
Yep.
that he is going to replace what you think you lost sevenfold. But you have to do your part. And it
Oh.
starts with the simple prayer of, God, I need your help. I can't do this alone.
Oh, that's.
And he's going to start, and you don't even have to worry. He's going to just start downloading things into you that you should do. He's going to start introducing people in your life that's going to lead you where he wants you to go. I mean, my coaching business, just really fast, in 2023, I was working for the government. I was working for the Department of Veterans Affairs, and quit my job to run a private practice. I had no idea about business at all, just no idea. Zero clients for like 7 months. Another thing happened in my life, and so this was August, I don't know, of 2023 or something, but I had $200 in my bank account. 200. And I was like, I don't know how I can survive off this. How can I pay my mortgage? The pastors came over to me and came over to my house and prayed with me. I am not kidding you. And I can only describe this as divine intervention, because I had no internet presence at this point. Like, I had no Google reviews at this point, nothing. My schedule was full to the brim, and it has been full to the brim from 2023 until like till present, like to the point where sometimes I work Saturdays. So the point being that that's that faith, and you're not walking this alone, and you don't have to be the one to be doing it. You just have to have the faith, and he's going to help. He's going to be the provider. So
It's interesting you said faith here, and we're getting close to the hour. I just want to say this here. How do you think? I just want to ask your opinion. I got my own opinion on this. I'll share it after I ask you this question. Is faith and mental health? How 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 close are they in resemblance to each other? If you have strong faith, do you have mental health issues? What do you think? Just
Do you have
curious what your thoughts are.
do you have like negative mental health issues?
Yeah, like do you think having positive faith impacts mental health?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. There's a study by I think it was by Barna that showed that people that are not Christianisc but have full faith positively impact their mental health. And that I think that ties in directly with kind of what you were talking about. Um, all right, as we are coming to the end and your story of resilience and transformation, and we didn't even get to talk about your business and whatnot. Maybe I got to bring you on another podcast, but I think your story is so pivotal and so emotionally full of healing, full of faith. I almost want to say spiritual renewal. Is last question that I'm going to ask everybody. I'm going to ask you how we can get a hold of you. How do you bring faith into your practice now with your clients? And we didn't even talk about really your business, but tell us
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about that.
Um okay, so y- it's not something I don't know how to say this. So before every client, I pray, Lord, help give me the words and the wisdom to help them where they're at today in this visit. Every time, every time. And there are some people that he legitimately tells me to minister to, and I'm not a minister. And so, starting out doing that, I felt a little insecure because it's like, oh, they kind of came to me for nutrition, not to talk to them about Jesus. And so the first couple ones though responded very well and started asking questions. And so now, like 7 months later, I'm like talking about Jesus. I talk about Jesus all the time. And I tell people, I'm like, your vagus nerve, it's literally a cross, the same cross that Jesus died on. That is the
Wow.
most important communication channel in your system, and it connects every other part of your system together. And so this is pivotal for your body to work well. And you know what? One of the things to do that you could do to stimulate your vagal nerve is to pray. And so I talk to people about this all the time. Um, yeah,
That's Marlene, your story is so beautiful.
thank you.
And my my heart is like I just want to like come across and give you a huge hug because you were really vulnerable today. You shared details. You didn't go deep into details about what's going on, but you shared your story. It's very transformational. It's full of spiritual empowerment. It's really alignment of God. I'm gonna tell you, you could have a bestseller. I'm writing a book right now. I think yours would be amazing. Something to think about. Not gonna, but just something to think about. I think that would be an awesome journey because I think there's a lot of women that are in your type of scenario and you could be the catalyst and the lead for them. And I just seriously, I sincerely appreciate you. I appreciate your journey, your faith today, and how um, you took us to where you were at, what you're dealing with, your perseverance, and basically your theme in life. And it's been really amazing. With that being said, how can our listeners get a hold of you? Plug your socials, your websites, anything you do online. All you. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I am currently working on a website right now, but it's f7warriorwellness.com. The letter F, the number seven, warriorwellness.com. I haven't fully launched that, but it is active. Online, it's Marlyne, my first name, Marlyne dot Lacey on Instagram until I get my business platform established. Right now, I am credentialed with Faye Nutrition. But it's a specific link, so I don't know if I share it with you or not to get to me if they want to get to me. But it's a way for Faye is basically just a credentialing agency that helps people who have insurance come see me, so they deal with all the billing and I don't have to deal with it, kind of a thing. So,
Send me that
um,
link so I'll put that in
okay,
the show notes. Yeah, yeah.
okay,
Go,
okay.
go ahead. Anything else that you want to say?
Just Facebook, Marlyne Lacey on Facebook. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. You guys heard everything here and only on Framing New Heights podcast. And to all our subscribers, thank you. Oh, Paris Clough just commented. Paris, hi. I don't know if you're still here. Paris is a big time financial coach. I just had him on a few weeks ago. He was actually jumping in the show note or uh, the messaging here. Hi to everybody. Everybody said a lot of hellos to you, Marlene. I'm looking through right now. Oh, yeah, a lot of hellos. People are excited about your journey. And one person said, praise God. Thank you, everybody. And well, as always, thank you again for the comments. And again, if you truly, for those of you that are catching this, if you want to catch the live, unedited, unscripted, you got to be a subscriber at Framing New Heights podcast. You just go to my YouTube channel. You can subscribe there. You get all the instantaneous good bonus points. If you're not, you just got to wait till every Wednesday when it drops. As always, my name is Michael Hicks. I'm your host with the most 1% better in mind, body, and soul. Marlene, stay flex. Come on, flex them up. Come on, get them up. Yeah,
Thank you, Michael.
you're welcome. I'll be in
Bless
touch.
you.
You too.
Okay.
Take care. Bye bye.
You too. Bye.